with the Leicester Mercury, which has been fantastic. Like I said, my name's John Coster, Editor-in-Chief. I'm not quite sure it's such a fancy title sitting next to Mr. Perch, but it's one of those ones that seems to have stuck for a while. I think simply because we've got so many news agencies as part of Citizens Eye. We came up with the idea of Community Media Week about 6 months ago as a way of reaching out into the county more, because when we first started Citizens Eye, the idea was it would be a web portal for community related news. We would try and go out and speak to community groups and individuals across the city and the county only, so it's a very tight geographic focus, and that would be organisations or individuals that represented faith or no faith, a demographic group if you like, so sort of older people, LGBT, learning disabilities, or a geographic area, so like an estate base like New Parks or Braunston, St Matthews, or a market town. You know? To come together and share all of their news, events, training opportunities, funding opportunities. You know, we often laugh about everybody wants to make this knife and gun crime DVD, and there's people that are thinking about making one, someone's making one, someone's just made one, and then someone made one a year ago. And the idea was to get these people to network together and share that expertise, if you like, and keep the money within local community organisations. We started on February 2008, so we'll be 2 years old in February, and tomorrow we're actually 1,000 days old. I couldn't believe that. When we were planning this week, last Thursday, I noted it was Thursday, so tomorrow is actually 1,000 days since we started Citizens Eye. It's developed into...
Just going to work out what we
are. Well, BBC Radio Leicester told me yesterday when I was interviewed by Tony Wadsworth, they're 43, so we're not too bad. We've only got another 40 years to go before we're as old as BBC Radio Leicester. It developed from Citizens Eye to cover certain parts of the county. We were doing a lot of work in the city, obviously that's because you know where we live and we were out networking. We've got a great relationship with the library service, and I'll come on to that in a moment. And so really, Community Media Week was about how would we go out into the county and how would we get more volunteers, if you like, to get involved. It's since developed where Community Media Week has been picked up across the country and across the world as well, and people have been contacting us saying, can we join? I said, you can join if you want, great, let us know where you're doing your community media, but you know, Citizens Eye is very tightly focused, the city and the county. After about 8 or 9 months of running Citizens Eye, we'd already developed 2 additional news agencies, which I knew we would get, simply because of, once we'd got volunteers that were interested in that, then we would spin off some other websites if we wanted to, if they were strong enough. So the first one was Inside and Out magazine, which is I Know Mag, which is for ex-offenders, and has now been developed under the editorialship of Mark to become 2 printed newsletters on a regular basis, which one's for the criminal justice system workers, one for ex-offenders, goes out into probation hostels and stuff, so that's fantastic. And the other one was HAT News, which stands for Here and There. Here, they're nothing. Over there, they were media workers and things like that. So it's for refugee and asylum seekers to be able to get the skills and the online, if you like, portfolio building in order to, when they got their status and they suddenly had a name and needed employment, that they'd built up some sort of credibility, hopefully to go after sort of, you know, accreditation and stuff and get on courses to do journalism. The first 3 editors of that have all got their status off of the volunteering they've done from the UK Border Agency, so you know, we're really quite proud of that. It's developed into 12 other news agencies since then. One for young people called Wave, and Wave started in January when we approached Keith just before Christmas and said, we've got a group of young people, they're quite keen, we've asked them what they want, what kind of magazine do you want? We don't want a magazine, we want a newspaper. And it seemed to make logical sense, rather than trying to reinvent the wheel, we went to the local newspaper and said, can we do this in partnership? So Keith was quite interested, obviously, because it's a different type of readership than a newspaper would normally have. So it weren't about selling more newspapers, it was about bringing a different type of readership to get involved in the newspaper. And I think it's worked quite well. It's 16 pages, it comes out monthly. We've had a letter back from Gordon Brown, we've had a letter back from the Queen, because one of the cheeky little monkeys sent a letter off to the Queen which we didn't know about, got a handwritten letter back, which is great. As far as we're aware, it's the only one of its kind in the country, and I know certainly that the person who runs it with us, Tina Barton, has actually been to Nottingham and spoken to the Nottingham Evening Post about rolling one out, and I think the Dorset Echo was quite interesting. So that was quite. We thought the next one would be Derby, but then Dorset Echo was really quite strange. So that's been brilliant. We've also developing Citizens Eye Radio using like iPhone apps like iPadio and Audio Boo. We've got a TV radio station that we use on FM. We do a lot of stuff on BBC Radio Leicester as lunchtime guests. We've got Citizens Eye TV, which we're developing at the Phoenix by using their TV studio. We've also got a magazine called Saw Magazine, which some of you may have seen, this double-sided magazine, and that's very much based on, we had 16 pages of community news to try and raise the expectations of community media being just a little bit more than photocopied newsletters. When you look at the site, and I suggest you have a good look around when you get an opportunity. We use all the sort of, Twitter, Flickr, Facebook, all those kind of things. The whole site is WordPress, and it's actually been built by someone who was a DMU computer student who came to me on a work placement when we first started Citizens Eye. So it's all WordPress, and everything we use is free. One of the innovations is this green button here, Submit New, and what that means is you don't even need email now to send news into Citizens Eye and attach a photograph. You can click the Submit New button and it comes straight through to the editorial team on their webmail. Community Media Week has been about taking this community conversation out across the city and the county. 3 months ago we started a community news cafe in the Kona Blue coffee shops in the High Cross on the basement opposite the Disney store. And the idea was for 1 hour was to take over a coffee shop that at a quiet time, they said to us Tuesday morning was their quietest time. We came along and we get between 35 and 55 people. We'll come there every Tuesday, so they know it's there regularly. New people come, give us news tips. We've had Laura down, last year's postgrad journalism student who now works at the Leicester Mercury in the newsroom, has popped down a few times and uses it as a way of finding out local stories. And that's developed to, if we were going to roll it out, we had to roll out something other than just telling people about Citizens Eye. So this week was about taking the Community News Cafe on the road to 15 other venues, as well as Kona Blue. So Simon and I have done 12 events already, Monday and Tuesday, and signed up 38 new community reporters. And we've still got 3 days to go, so it's nice to have a bit of a rest today to come in and do something like this. We're looking to roll those Community News Cafe out with partners to community centres and coffee shops right across the city and the county. On Monday by lunchtime we'd already had an offer for 7 in the Colville and Hinckley area, and the idea in partnership with the Mercury is we're going to recruit 2012 community reporters by 2012. So really we're just using the Olympics as a catalyst, if you like. The great thing about our relationship is we are not professional journalists. We don't profess to be professional journalists. The idea is to go out and capture people that have got access or involved in community issues. They can collect things, they can use their mobile phones. It's always about the lowest common denominator. We don't have any equipment like this one filming this tonight. It's all sort of, flip cams, digital cameras, using your mobile phone. So I think from that point of view, it's about the only qualification you need is enthusiasm. And hopefully that's coming across, and that's why we get people involved, because they want to do something that helps themselves. So I would certainly encourage you to get involved as a citizens reporter or community reporter, as we call them, and find out a little bit more about it, become one of our reporters in the area that you're interested in. Now that might be a demographic group or a geographic area, go to your ward meeting, and we collect all of this together to go on to Citizens Eye, because we can take all of that community news. And now, and a recent development, and Keith will expand on this when I sit down in a minute, I promise, is Citizens Eye sits there between the This Is Leicestershire website and the Mercury now, and we're starting to put a lot more branded community news by Citizens Eye. The logo will start appearing a lot more inside the Leicester Mercury as we develop it and give people the opportunity. I mean, James, who's actually filming that there with a flip cam, has actually had 2 or 3 articles in already in his name as a community reporter with a Citizens Eye badge. The Media Trust came last week. Couldn't believe it. The relationship we have with the Leicester Mercury and the City Council by being hosted by the Library Service. Simon works for the Library Service doing community engagement, co-edits Citizens Eye as part of his role, and things like, we're starting to use BBC Radio Leicester for their training room and go on and actually act as local reporters as well. So it's been a fantastic opportunity for us, and I'm certainly looking forward to developing our partnership for the next 1,000 days. And what we're looking to do is repeat Community Media Week next June in National Volunteer Week,